I can't. Maybe they can show me in front of me they're Muslims, but if their hearts cursing me and cursing my religion, what is the point? It doesn't mean anything. Even in Islam, in the Quran, it says, let there be no compulsion in religion. Let there be no compulsion in religion. Yani, arguably I can say, and take it from me, arguably I can say that this is the first mandate of religious tolerance in human history. Again, the first religious mandate of religious rights in human history. There is no other religion called for that prior to Islam. Prior to Islam, there is no such thing. Even you find the Christians, they mentioned the Crusades came later, but even when Muslims came to Egypt, for example, okay, when Muslims, no, turn it off. When Muslims came to Egypt, Egypt was occupied by the Catholic, the Romans, the Catholic Christians. You know who was the indigenous inhabitants of Egypt? Roman Orthodox Christians. Today they're called Coptics. They were oppressed. When Islam came and chased the Catholic out, the oppressors, the transgressors, because Islam, as I said, is not a passive religion. When there are people who are tortured and abused and transgressed, Muslim feels obligation to help them, even if it takes force. So Islam came to free the Christians Orthodox from the Christian Catholics. You know what happened when the Muslims found that money that was taken by coercion and by force from the Orthodox by the Catholic? When the Muslim leader sent to the Khalifa, Umar, he told him, what should we do with this money? This money was taken by force. So it's not permissible money to use. It belongs to other people. You have no right. He tells him, declare or announce in the towns, whoever had money taken from him by force, come and get it back. That is what Islam brought. So when they say Islam spread by the sword, there is not even one Muslim soldier put or landed a foot in the biggest and the largest Muslim country in the world, Indonesia. Or that part of the world. Merchants who went to make business, when people saw their honesty, they became Muslim. Study and search and see if there is one army landed foot in Indonesia. If you look at the world today, they talk about Islam is a terrorist religion. Let's look at the last century. Let's say Islam is, and let's say Islam declared war on everyone. Let's say in just last 100 years, when that modern, civilized, human rights world took over. Because the last 100 years was the fall of the Ottoman Empire, the biggest empire in the history of mankind. The last 100 years since that fall, wars after wars after wars after wars. Yani at least 70 wars. The least estimate of the number of people killed in World War I, 16 million. 16 million. They're stigmatizing a whole religion because of September 11. We'll talk about September 11. 3,000 people died. Like turning the other cheek to the one who slapped you. We don't tell you turn the other cheek. Like why you go and you bomb and you occupy a land that had nothing to do with September 11, and that is Iraq. Destroyed a whole country to free its people. If you're going to think holy war is jihad, you're declaring jihad on Iraq. You want to free the people, right? But what is the result? The collapse of the whole world system. Because it's unjust war. It's unfair. So World War I, where the Muslims had nothing to do with it, it's the West killing each other. The civilized modern world. 16 million killed. 20 million wounded. And a lot of civilians. World War II. And they didn't learn from their lesson. 60 million. 60 million people were killed in World War II. So in the last 100 years, the least estimate, 160 million people were killed in those wars. But let's look a little closer. Let's focus. Magnifier glass. Muslim world. Let's see how many they declared on the West. That they say Islam is a religion of violence and they want to kill everyone. From the West, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Sudan. Talking just about the Arab world, the Arab region. And most Muslims are not Arabs. Jordan, Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq. They were all occupied by the West. Armies invaded those people's sovereign countries. Why the West tends to forget quick? This happened in the last 60 years. They left these countries in the last 50, 60 years. Why they don't talk about that? They still, and if you're going to talk about the crusade, they said those people were too far ago, 1,000 years ago. We have nothing to do. 40 years ago. And you still have the same mentality. And you all know when Bush declared war on Afghanistan, he said, the Crusaders are back. He said that. And you can search. That's what the West did to the Muslim world. To the Arabs at least. Like Britain, Great Britain, that reached all the way to India and beyond. And France come to the Arabs. They tell them, we want you to help us against the Ottoman Empire. Now this history is not even taught in the Arab world. And we will give you freedom, independence from the Ottoman. Because the people who were in charge of the Muslim world then were not Islamically inclined. They thought, I can have my own country, my own throne. They agreed. The Arabs were fighting the Ottomans, which is Muslims with Muslims, plotted by the West, Britain and France. In the background, Britain and France was dividing the Arab world, what France gonna take and what Britain gonna take. That's why you find Iraq was taken by the British, Jordan taken by the British, Syria and Lebanon by the French, Egypt by the British, Libya by Italians, Morocco by the French, and Tunisia. That's why you find Algeria by itself was occupied by France for more than 100 years. You think they came to bring civilization? You think they brought science? Whereas Muslims, when they went to a land to teach the people the religion, to spread the religion of Islam, to teach people, not force, here's our religion. They brought civilization. And Spain is a great deal and great evidence. A Jewish professor in Hebrew University, he says there was never better symbiosis between Muslims and Jews than the one existed in Islamic Spain. Jews, and I challenge, and I'm very confident of this, the following statements. And it's not only my statement, it's a statement of impartial, fair, just writers from the West, non-Muslims. The Jews never had better life and better or more stable life than the one they had under Islamic ruling Spain. Jewish poets